What's up guys, I'm Rhett. Welcome back to Lawn Insider. In today's video, we're going to talk about the 5 steps that I didn't take to get my lawn to look like this spring. So let's do a quick look around the yard and then we're going to jump into the list. First stop here in the front yard, you can see that the maple tree finally has some leaves. The elm tree has actually been trimmed. And then here is a look down the property line at the side yard. Now we've jumped to the other side yard. A lot of shadows being cast right now, so meet me in the back. And now the backyard with all the essentials of an almost 2-year-old boy, including 2 lawn mowers, so you know he's a chip off the old block. Let's get into the list. Now certain parts of this list are things that I chose to skip in my lawn this spring. Other parts of it are just things that nobody should ever do in their Bermuda lawns. Coming in at number 1 on the list, and the step that I actually skipped earliest this season, is choosing not to do a soil test. And if you watched the channel last year, then you probably remember that I did my first and only soil test last year. And when the results came back, they actually showed that I was low on pretty much everything across the board, macros and micros, except for calcium, which I was through the roof on, but I think that's everyone in our area. And what that showed me was that I didn't really have to thread the needle and find like the holy grail of products. Anything that I chose to apply to the yard was probably going to be beneficial, and nothing was going to take us out of those optimal ranges. And that goes for pH as well. Our pH was actually good, and I was low on everything. So I chose to just skip it this year, not really worry about it. I know that pretty much any product that I end up applying is probably going to serve some positive purpose for the lawn, and it's probably going to get me closer to those optimal ranges. And sometime in the future, I'll probably do another soil test. The second thing on the list is that I chose not to scalp coming out of winter dormancy this year, and that's probably one of the more controversial ones, but I noticed on my first couple of mows that I was already at like 60–70% green up in the lawn. So it's really just a little experiment that I ran on the yard, and I chronicled this in some videos earlier in the season. But I greened up, I've stayed greened up, and up to this point I haven't really noticed any negative effects of not scalping. Now, I will probably have to scalp at some point in the season, maybe even a couple of times, but I didn't do one coming out of winter dormancy, and so far, the yard looks great. The third thing on the list, and this is actually a step that you don't have to do in your Bermuda lawn, is that I didn't dethatch this year. And in the past, I'd actually dethatched at the beginning of the season at the same time that I was scalping, and then I would just pick up bags and bags of stuff, literally probably 20+ bags. And my lawn's a little over 4,000 square feet, so it's pretty small, and I keep it at ½ an inch. So you can just imagine how dense all that material was. But this year, since I skipped the scalp step, I also chose to just skip the dethatching as well. But what I will do once the yard gets really, really thick this year, and I start skating a little bit with my reel mower, see a few more scalp marks, is pull out my verticutter, which is actually my old dethatcher that I have converted, if you look at the reel here. And I had to do it piece by piece, part by part. I couldn't buy the entire reel, but hopefully this thing does a great job for me this year of thinning out the turf whenever I need it. The fourth thing on the list, and if you have a hybrid Bermuda sod yard, you just need to always skip this step, never do it, and that's that I didn't overseed my lawn this spring. And let me explain why real quickly. Hybrid Bermuda sod, when it goes to seed, it's actually sterile, and you can't buy a seed that's going to match your existing grass in terms of color or texture. So if you put out this seed that you buy and it actually takes, it's going to have a different color and a different texture than your existing grass, and it's going to end up looking patchy. And another reason that you don't really need to overseed Bermuda, and let me show you a quick example here. This is a spot that was some dog pee damage coming out of wintertime, and it was completely bare, but you can see that these stolons on top, and then there's rhizomes underneath of the Bermuda, have began to invade this area, and it's trying to fill in that weak spot. And that is the growth habit, the growth pattern of Bermuda. It's going to crawl laterally, and it's going to fill in those weak spots on its own, as long as you are watering it, cutting it, and feeding it. The fifth and final thing on the list is that I haven't applied a single Postemergent weed killer to the lawn yet this spring. And I do have some weed pressure. I have shown y'all in several videos this year. But for the most part, the pre-emergent application that I put out in fall, and then the pre-emergent application that I put out in spring, and then just regular mowing, have done a great job of limiting weed pressure, and not a single weed killer has been used on the lawn to get it to the point that it's at right now in the season. All right, y'all, I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up right there. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave it a like. If you're enjoying the content and you want to continue to see more of it, hit that black subscribe button below the video. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those in the comment section below. I'll see y'all again soon. Lawn Insider, out.